Ladies and gentlemen, I take pride in introducing the greatest show on earth.
Hi, everybody. This is Scott Gordon, and welcome to the Uncle Floyd podcast number 65. Today's Friday, March 20th, 2026 is when I'm recording this. And you're probably going to hear it on the 21st or after there. So we're going to talk about some stuff to do with the Uncle Floyd show, and I'm going to do some rambling and talking about other junk. And we'll do that as soon as the music is over. And we'll get into your questions that you emailed in to me. It's great to be here with you guys again. And I have some emails from you that you sent to me at ufpodcast@sge-inc.com. That's ufpodcast@sge-inc.com. If you'd like to get a question in for me to answer about the Uncle Floyd show, or show business, or technology, entertainment technology, that is, which I'm highly familiar with, I'll be glad to answer them for you. So hold on, and we'll get to these questions right now. This is from Grumpy in Pauling, New York. I'm afraid to ask, but do you know what became of Floyd's world's largest collection of Italian-American records? He used to say collections all ultimately end up in dumpsters. Sad but true. What is so precious to us means nothing to most others when we've moved on to the higher realm. Well, unfortunately, Grumpy, I have to tell you that Floyd had them all in a storage unit, a warehouse, and there was a flood, and he lost an awful lot of stuff in that flood. Most of his records were gone. He saved some of them, but he didn't have all of them, and the ones that he did save are all in the hands of his family, so they're taken care of. And we have a lot of them that I put on CD for him to make them easier to play on the radio. They do exist. The information does exist in most cases, the ones that he found most useful. Eventually, you never know. We may play that. And he also says, I hope you have luck posting more Italian-American Serenade shows on YouTube. Fingers crossed for that show I love so much. Thanks, Grumpy. I'm glad you loved it. I'm going to try and post more, but there seems to be some issues with copyrights. And there are countries that will not allow that to be listened to. The U.S. seems to be no problem for the one that I posted, but I'm going to try another one in the near future, and we'll see if we can get it done again. This is from Mike Anderson in Lake Hiawatha. Floyd got edited out of a movie called One Trick Pony by Paul Simon, but he was wondering if I could provide the details of that story. It's very interesting. That's back in the 70s. Floyd was getting calls at Channel 68, WWHT, I think at the time it was WBTB. It was very early. He was getting calls from Paul Simon at the station. And the person who was answering the phone would pick up the phone and say, Channel 68. Paul would say on the other side, hi, this is Paul Simon. Could I speak to Uncle Floyd, please? And the person answering the phone would go, yeah, right, and hang up. And that went on for months. So finally, someone answered the phone who actually took the message and gave it to Floyd. Floyd called, and Paul wanted him to be in the movie. Floyd went out to Cleveland, Ohio, to the Agora Ballroom where the movie was filmed, and they did an entire thing with a club that was called Floyd's. The editors and the producers decided that it didn't add anything to the story that they wanted to tell, so they edited Floyd's part out. But there is a way to tell that it happened. If you watch the movie, get a hold of it or stream it or whatever you're going to do, and watch some of the club scenes where Paul Simon is playing on the stage, in the background over the audience, you'll see a neon sign in the background that says Floyd's. And that's the remnant of Floyd being in that movie. Now from Michael Lepowski. My question, Swept Away was David Bowie's tribute to Floyd. What was Floyd's reaction to it, and did they ever meet? Well, way before David Bowie did that song, David Bowie came to see us at the Bottom Line. He came to the Bottom Line to watch an Uncle Floyd stage show with the entire cast, and we all met him. He came backstage, and we talked with him, and he hung around for a while. We had a bottle of champagne, which my wife drank most of and got very tipsy. They became friends. Bowie would call Floyd up every once in a while and speak to him, and they talked for about an hour and a half, from what I understand. And a lot of times they discussed American cowboy TV shows. David Bowie loved Hopalong Cassidy, Gene Autry, The Lone Ranger, stuff like that. So they got along very, very well. They became friends on the telephone. I don't know if Floyd ever went to Bowie's house for dinner or anything, or they met in the city, which is possible. This is from Susie Tannenbaum. I recently heard an interview with the Monty Python troupe. John Cleese said that one of his favorite things in life is whatever causes uncontrollable laughing. Laughing. That's a combination of laughter and laughing. That was my mouth. Of course, that made me think of Floyd. Did Monty Python appear on the Uncle Floyd show? If so, was that during syndication or at another point? And how did you all get along? As a matter of fact, during syndication was when Monty Python at the Hollywood Bowl was released. And Terry Gilliam and Graham Chapman came and did a guest shot on the show to promote the movie. Floyd and I did a sketch with them where I got to hit both Terry Gilliam and Graham Chapman with pies, which turned into a pie fight. And Floyd got the worst end of it. So they were great guys, had great time talking to them. I'm still in touch with Terry Gilliam. Unfortunately, Graham Chapman passed. And what do I think of their humor? Susie asks. I think they're hysterical. I love British comedy. I've loved it since the Goon shows. I have, in my collection, I have recordings of the Goon shows. I have every Monty Python record, including one signed by Terry Gilliam and Graham Chapman when they appeared on the show. I knew they were coming, so I brought the album, and they signed it. It's the Matching Tie and Handkerchief album. It's in my collection. Since there's been a lot of talk about guests on the show, I'm going to tell a little story. My wife, Diane, her father was a good friend of Ed Sullivan's brother. They went to college together. They went to Fordham University together. And when the Beatles appeared in February of 1964, I think it was, on the Ed Sullivan Show live, Diane's father got tickets, orchestra tickets for the Ed Sullivan Show. And my wife, her brother, her brother's girlfriend, and her father went to see the Beatles at the Ed Sullivan Show. So my wife is sitting on the aisle in the orchestra section, and she's talking very, very animatedly at the time, and she gestures with her left arm into the aisle and catches someone walking down the aisle, a guy walking down the aisle, right in the crotch. Guy doubles over, coughs a little bit, and Diane says, "Oh my goodness, are you okay? Did I hurt you?" And he says, No, I'm fine. And he walked down and sat in the front row. Now, if you remember the Ed Sullivan Show, if someone sat in the front row, usually they were going to be introduced from the stage. Well, partially into the show, Ed Sullivan introduces the person on the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, right here, right now, right in the front row, we have from Oliver on Broadway playing the Artful Dodger, young David Jones from England. And this guy stands up and takes a bow. So later on in the show, they appeared. Davy Jones was on stage performing as the Artful Dodger in a scene from Oliver at the same show that the Beatles were on. Fast forward many years later, during the 80s at New Jersey Network, Davy Jones is going to be a guest, I find out one week. So I go home and I say to Diane, I say, look, you've got to take the day off next week. You got to come down to the studio. I can't tell you who it is because I can't let word get out. We have a guest that you have to see. And she says, okay, I'll come down. So she goes down, and we're standing in line when Davy Jones comes in. The bunch of us, we're getting introduced to him. I shake his hand and say, hi, Davy. And this is my wife, Diane. She's the one who punched you in the groin at the Ed Sullivan show when the Beatles were on. And he goes, oh, yes, nice to meet you again. Okay, this is from Vincent Speranza. I always had wondered, given his dislike of the Les Paul SG redesign and at the end of his endorsement in the early 60s, was Les still playing Gibsons when you were helping him around the studio, or was he trying different brands and modding them to suit his needs? I always see photos of Les with the recording models, but those would have been from the 70s onward. Les still played his Gibson guitars. Most of his stuff was recorded on a modified Epiphone called the Clunker. There was Clunker 1 and Clunker 2, and those were used in the recording. They had hand-wired pickups and hand-set electronics. They were guitars that were constructed to be low impedance to use with the recording boards. And if you look at some of the pictures that are published, Les is playing a large archtop guitar with a big dark box in the middle of it. That's the Clunker. And if Mary's there, she's playing a Clunker as well. So those are the pictures without the Gibson guitars. And that's what most of their music, their hit music, was recorded with, was those Clunkers. Les had more guitars than I do. I have 64 guitars. Les had hundreds of guitars. You wouldn't believe how many guitars were in there. Every manufacturer would send Les a guitar. As a matter of fact, I have a picture of Les playing a Telecaster. And that was sent to him by Leo Fender himself. That answers your question, Vincent Speranza. Thank you so much. And this is from Matthew DiLorenzo of New York City. He has two questions. Over its nearly 30 years on the air, the show shifted formats, even doing music-only showcases and traveling segments like Uncle Floyd's New Jersey. From your view behind the scenes, what was the biggest creative challenge in reinventing the show's style over the years, and how did Floyd respond to trying something new? Floyd was an entertainer. This was one of the ways he had to promote his live shows. That was the most important thing. We never made money on the TV shows. We paid to do all the TV shows except for the time we were on New Jersey Network. We actually paid the studio times, which is why we had commercials. The commercials that you see for Kent's Magic Shop and all the other things, Floyd went out and sold the ads so that we could pay the studios to do the TV shows and to pay for the airtime, to run the shows for you to see. They were a way of Floyd promoting his live shows, which is how he made money and fed his family. So it was not a matter of wondering what we were going to do. It was we're changing it around because we had to do something. And it was all controlled by the money. You created and played many recurring characters and sketches. Do you have one alter ego or bit that you almost never get to talk about? Maybe something that was too weird or offbeat to ever make the final tape, but you still love that idea. The idea that I liked the most that we only did once or twice was Max the Tailor. That was me coming out with clothing for Floyd that was like really trash, that nobody could have worn anyway. and I would come out with a jacket on and no pants. I would have like a longer jacket, so all you could see was my legs, and you never knew whether I had anything on below my waist or not. That character just didn't seem to work. That and another character called Ichabod Squats, who came out and read news articles, and that never seemed to work either. I got a kick out of both of them. A question from Phil Pagliaro. For years, Floyd seemed determined to keep the Uncle Floyd Show in production, even after syndication and the NJN cancellation, going from one studio to another over the years. The television show officially went off the air around 2001 after several years at Cablevision. It was only 1 year at Cablevision, actually, Phil. And Floyd went on to do his Around New Jersey show without any cast members. Did the cast continue performing together live after the Cablevision cancellation? And why did he decide to end the cast production at that point on TV or stage? Phil Pagliaro from West Caldwell, New Jersey. Well, that goes back to the same idea. The money had everything to do with it. The cast just became too expensive to do. It required too many people on camera, studio time, and everything else. The walking around New Jersey was a lot less expensive because all it needed was one camera person who had a camera that was a video recorder. And usually I think that was Pat Marucki who did that. And they walked around and they recorded around the towns, just walking into stores and talking to people. There was no music involved, no equipment other than the camera and editing afterwards. So it was a lot less expensive to do. That's the way it worked. It was all the money. It's show business. That's one of the things a lot of people don't understand. It is a business before it's a show. It has to have the business to work before the show works. And that's the way we did it. All right. That's going to be it for this time around. So I'm going to have a little bit of fun here, a little bit of musical fun. And this is Floyd and his brothers doing a selection from our Bioya 45s, Bioya 75s. That would be interesting. I'm having a lot of trouble today getting numbers put together. I'm a little bit dyslexic. I apologize for that. But let's go out with some music from Floyd and his brothers, Jerry and Jimmy and the guys, and Ed Alstrom and Frank Pagano, and who knows who the heck else was in there. But let's listen to it right now, and here we go.
My name's Don Ho. I'm not a bum. Icky wanna, eeny, weeny, teeny, weeny, wanna boo. Icky lani, manja, poo-poo. And don't you think I'm a cuckoo? My name is Don Ho. Eeny, wanna, moo-moo. Eti lala pasta bazoo. Eeny weeky, take a peeky, and I bet you're thinking I'm a fool. Balla hula, balla super. Won't you feel the Maya Jedru? Icky taki, maki, faki, bacala. In a bigger hula, and a bigger kafuna. Easy weezy mazabula, ela fima mababa, la chayo, no pini panu, oka sapazuta, ini wala wafanabla ela manja kaha. Cooler, you're a big kafuna. Easy mazurua, ela hila baba, jenquio, eco pano, oka sapusata. Ikiwani wabanabla esumana la hukama. Oh my
So remember, if you'd like to get questions into us, just send them to ufpodcast@sge-inc.com. That's ufpodcast@sge-inc.com. And if you'd like to watch clips from the old Uncle Floyd show, we do that every Tuesday night at 8. We have a date for This Was the Uncle Floyd Show. And to get to that, you just go to theunclefloydshow.tv. theunclefloydshow.tv, and take you right there. I'm Scott Gordon, and as Floyd always said, the most important thing to any show is you, the audience. You are the most important thing. Without you, this wouldn't even exist. And we thank you so much for coming and enjoying it and listening to our craziness that we used to do all the time.
This program was produced in the studios of Scott Gordon Enterprises, Incorporated in Paramus, New Jersey.